apparently has managed to find some more elephants to keep you entertained on this lovely sunset safari.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have a beautiful bull elephant eating marula fruits underneath the marula trees. And I think my favorite part about this is the sun has just popped up, but then there's a rain cloud that's behind him. And so we're getting this really, really lovely background. I am Noelle, and on camera today we have Ferg. Hello, Ferg. Ferg is saluting. He's doing this. All right, so don't forget tomorrow morning for us, tonight for any of you that are in the States, we will be showing our 5th and final installment of our binge series on Nat Geo Wild at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be epic. Please join us. And don't forget Safari Bingo. You have to play Safari Bingo. We are so excited to announce our winner. I think it's at the end of the show tomorrow, but don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's what will be happening, but we'll have to wait and see. So you got to play Safari Bingo until we tell you to stop playing. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. So you can go to natgeo.com/safari live for all the rules and regulations. And we will see you for our amazing live broadcast tomorrow, 5 o'clock our time and 10 p.m. live in the United States Eastern, 10 p.m. Eastern. Okay, now enough of my talk. There's an elephant. Yay. So we had a beautiful frame between the elephant's legs of Scott Dyson, and then he raced away. He didn't want it. Maybe he's camera shy. Amazing for a presenter. But now this bull is super happy doing what he's doing. He's relaxed, his eyes are half closed, his ears are open because he's listening to me because the way the wind is swirling. I'm sure he's listening to some of the rain coming through. Monique, you're saying that is not a small elephant. It is true, Monique. This is not a small elephant. It's not the biggest male elephant I've ever seen, but he is a very decent size. And as you all can tell, especially for any new viewers you might have out there, we are live and interactive, coming to you from the Sabi Sands and from Kenya. We are live from 2 locations, so you can send through those questions and comments, #SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat. Now, marula fruits. We talked about it a bit this morning on show. They are full of sugar, full of energy, and full of vitamin C. Not just species like bushbuck I've seen eating them. I've also seen nyalas eating them. I've seen jackals eating them. Who else have I seen eating them? Not hippos, amazingly. Not here, at least. I think I've gone through monkeys and baboons. There we go. And then us. You can make jam. You can make juice. You can make special apple juice out of them. It's excellent. Now, he's big in body, but he has small tusks, and that's all genetics. Similar with us, I have friends who have very tiny front teeth, and I have friends who have a very large front teeth, and there's also medium teeth. It's the same for them. Oh, can we hear him rubbing? Ferg's saying it's a bit too windy, but he was just scratching the backside of his ear on that marula tree. He does it. He has 2 arms and 2 legs, but obviously he doesn't have fingers like we do. The bones are inside of those big, ginormous, padded. They're not feet because it's 2 arms and 2 legs. You can see the elbow there, but for lack of a better term, can you call them hands if you can't grab anything? What would we call them? Megs, what would you call them? If you had hands but they were stuck, are they gloves? Interesting. As a thought. It's my random thought for the day. Anyway, so Meg says mittens, or Kerr says mittens rather. So he obviously can't scratch himself. He also can't sort of get it back and around where it needs to be. So a tree is a good scratching post to start off with.
Model pose, eh?
Yeah, it is such a model pose. Well said, Ferg. The Claudia Schiffer. All right, now Jamie has a predator that is rolling around in the mud, I would assume to cool down, but we'll have to head up to the Mara for you to find out for yourselves.
Hands up who's in need of a spa day. Apart from me, of course. The hyenas are, sorry, I've got my hand waving in the air, but it's really not all that relevant. I need a spa day. I don't even really like spas. I get very bored. I can't sit still for that long. I don't know what to do with myself. I went once, and it was a lovely experience. Oh, zebra fighting in the background again. That's what the hyena are looking at. But where I was going with that was that the hyena have had the most wonderful spa day. Sorry, I got distracted there. Taylor says that that Taylor and I should go for a spa day when we go to Johannesburg. I think that is a very, very good plan, Taylor. Since I will barely see Taylor before she departs tomorrow. I think that sounds like a plan. Hyenas up already, looking to see why the zebra were running. Can I chase them? Did something catch them? Is this going to be some excitement on my boring day? Megs, please tell Taylor I'm in. Hands down. I can't think of anything better. We'll have to bring stuff to do though. And I'm not doing a manicure or a pedicure. I can't sit still long enough for that. Taylor has suggested perhaps a splash of orange juice to go with the bubbles as well. I like this idea. Oh, have you been abandoned? Maybe they only paid for the half-day package. This one's got the full-day treatment. Lying right in the muddy water. And of course, hyena have immune systems second probably only to something like a shark. They really are resilient to pretty much every sort of virus, bacteria that you could think of out here. Not everything, of course. There are certain things that they're susceptible to. They can get mange, they can get rabies, all of those sorts of things. But in terms of the resilience of their immune system, they are truly impressive animals. They can go and drag a carcass into a muddy wallow like this, and they love to do that because it makes the meat all nice and soft and squishy and stops other things from eating it. So they drag the carcasses in here, then they'll go and they'll lie in the water with the rotting carcass and a pile of buffalo dung, no problems. Whereas myself, I had to get rescued by Taylor's antibiotic eye drops, which we had to get delivered all the way to where we are here, because one morning I drove too fast through a very smelly river crossing. Didn't anticipate. It's actually quite funny. It wasn't funny at 3 o'clock in the morning though. I'm driving through the river crossing, I went too fast and the wave curled back inwards and hit me full on in the face, straight into my eyes. I was so unimpressed with life. Liam, yes. Hyenas do not just have a good sense of smell, they have an exceptional sense of smell. Probably the best of any of the predators out here. It's always difficult to compare these things, but they have an exceptional sense of smell. They are capable of picking up the scent of meat rotting or decomposing or even fresh carcasses at well over 1 kilometer away if the wind is blowing in the right direction. So they really are. They have phenomenally sensitive noses, exceptional problem-solving skills, and the combination of different and very good hearing as well. A combination of those different factors means that they are very, very successful. And most of the time, what actually attracts them to the cheetah that make a kill or the lions or whatever is actually the sound. There's just so many of them scattered around here that it's impossible for a cheetah to try and make a kill undetected. The sound of hooves running, the very small alarm call, even though cheetah work very hard to keep their prey quiet, the distress call. Oh, there we go. Tired of water, are we? Lonely. It's no fun being in the hot tub when no one's else there to keep you company. Going off to join the trio. Sorry, join the duo. And just quickly, as our hyena goes and flops down, I've got one last thing to show you. I've been watching it, but I was caught up with the tail of the hyenas. But there is a secretary bird perched in a tree, and I just wanted to have a double check and see if it's got a nest there. Oh, interesting little interaction there. There we go. The secretary bird is just across from us over there. I saw it fly in to the tree. I just wanted to see if it would maybe any sign of a nest, but I don't think so. I think it's just perching. You know, the curse of the secretary bird continues. This morning, Kirsty, of course, was our able director. I tried to show her a secretary bird, and again, she just wouldn't take it. I think we can all safely conclude that whenever I try to show any of you a secretary bird, if Kirsty's directing, you won't see it. Because she just doesn't like. It's not that she doesn't like them, it's just that the opportunities have conspired against us in the past and continue to do so to this day. Well, we've already had a little glimpse of our hyenas having a spa day. Now, Taylor McCurdy has promised we shall meet up in Johannesburg to do the same. So off you go to my spa partner in crime, Miss McCurdy, and see how she feels about it.
Dreaming of it. I'm ready to jump out and start covering my face with mud. That's how excited I am. Jamie, I have a fear though that you and I may get stuck there for longer than we anticipate. I reckon we'll book, I don't know, I'm just imagining it all in my head, because I think we should go for a night. I think we'll spend the night there, we'll do all the wonderful things we'll probably end up doing the weekend. I have not had a spa day for such a long time. The last spa day I had was when I fell face first into the mud. Well, that's at least the closest I've been to one since I've been up here in the Mara. I have been for one massage though, which was lovely. But it'll be nice to go back to South Africa and get my nails done and have my eyelashes tinted and a facial and all those amazing girly things that, and well, you sadly aren't able to do in the bush. Although when I was traditionally guiding at lodges, they have these big fancy spas, so it was quite easy. That was always the first person I'd make friends with, was the spa manager, become my best friend. Hey, Crystal. That was the manager of the last spa or the lodge that I worked at. The chefs, obviously, and the bartender. So the three people that you need to get onto your side when you're working in a lodge. So we're back down the river road again. I'm probably going to take the next road off to the right and sort of go through the marsh, hopefully pop past some elephants, but I would like to find some lions. We just need to try and figure out what's going on. Some interesting things are happening at the moment. When we had the Olololo Pride yesterday on the remains of the buffalo kill, they're in the heart of the Marsh Breakaway Pride territory. So obviously we're going to see things starting to change, especially when there's not a lot of food around. So I found that particularly interesting. So now we need to figure out where's the Marsh Breakaway Pride gone. Is that why they're spending so much time in that sort of southeastern corner of the forest and in that marshy section? Is because they've actually been pushed out completely. But hopefully once the migration returns, all the wildebeest and zebra come back, things will go back to normal. Everybody will sort of maybe shift back into their prime spots. But it is quite tricky. I'm really surprised that the lions haven't moved further east, because down towards that eastern corner of the Mara River, the grass is so short, so just past Little Governors, and there are so many animals. There's lots of zebra, topi, Thompson's gazelle, you absolutely name it. All the animals are there, and we see it every time we go around there. We'll have to just see what happens. I'm kind of sad. What I would have loved to have done one day is done like a full year to see the migration arrive, leave, and then come back. That would have been really cool to see the whole change of the Mara. But I am also very excited to go back to South Africa. I cannot wait to spend 3 hours with the elephants, and that's going to be the best. And you see a couple of cars up ahead. It's the rangers. I think they're just planning on where they're going to be doing patrols this evening. Now Justin and many others, says Megan. Just do I don't know if they were wanting me to stop, but we can't. Anyways, we'll just carry on. So essentially you were wondering what am I going to miss most? I notice a lot of things about Mara, all the new birds, the open space, it's incredible. This, which I'm going to show you in a moment, these incredible, it's the kingfisher, Manu, the malachite kingfisher. Oh, I'm just winning the whole day today. Look, I'm seeing all my favorite things before I go. Woo! I'm so excited. Oh, there we go. Always a nice bird to see. This one's a beautiful color. You can see quite a bit of white coming through. I think those feathers are just, oh, well, they do have a little bit of white on them. Look a little bit ruffled. That is so beautiful. Oh, man, there's so many birds out today. I mean, seeing the kingfishers and so relaxed, so close to the car is something that I'm definitely going to miss. I can't think of any better sightings I've had of malachite kingfishers. They're definitely, up here in the Mara, it's definitely been my best. Oh, please dive down and catch something, or am I asking for too much? Probably asking for too much. You know, I can't be too cheeky. I'm miss seeing all the new frogs. Although I have seen a mascarene grass frog before. I saw them in Zambia. I'd just forgotten about them. I'm going to miss everything about this place. It is just so beautiful. The wildlife here is so raw. I've seen animal behavior that I never thought would ever happen. Definitely learnt in the Mara not to use the word always when talking about animal behavior. Oh, I think it actually just caught a little insect. I thought it fluttered down to the next reed. Norman, you said that this bird is living art and it's so fragile. It is indeed. They're one of the most gorgeous birds. They really are. It's hard not to love the kingfishers. I think Brent has seen the most kingfishers out of all of us. He's only got a few. What is that? Manu, what is moving that grass? Where's my binoculars? I can't find them. What was that? That was so strange. Oh, hang on, it caught something. Sorry, Manu, I don't know, I got distracted. What did you get? Is it like a shrimp? What was that? I couldn't quite see what it was. It almost looked like a crustacean of sorts, but it could have just been an insect. Did anybody manage to get a screenshot of that so we can try and ID that delicious snack that malachite kingfisher just saw? And then I'm just going to try and figure out what caught my attention. We'll try and creep up to it. It might have been a terrapin. Just moving around the grass and reeds a bit, which of course caught my attention. That's a great snack. I can't believe it's diving straight back down and going into fishing again. I'd be full. I mean, that was like the equivalent. It was such a big meal. It was like us eating a sandwich. Off it goes again, onto the next perch. Look at it, it just keeps going. Shall we see if we can, how close we can get to it, Manu? What do you think? I think we can. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Right, I'm going to try and get even closer to this bird. Jamie also has a kingfisher.
The spar buddies are in sync. Look at this. Kingfishers with Taylor, kingfishers with Jamie. It's just kingfishers everywhere. And one that has not made a kill yet, unlike Taylor's. A different species to the malachite. I'm pretty certain it's a brown-headed kingfisher. It's been difficult to tell. I've been trying to see the little rufous belly to gauge exactly whether or not it was a grey-headed or a brown-headed, but I'm pretty certain it's a brown-headed, looking at it perched on its branch. And just as beautiful, perhaps not quite as colourful as the lovely little malachite, but a little bit larger and lovely nevertheless. Where'd you go? Oh, there it goes, ah! And now I'm sitting on top there. Well done, Adrian. It did make something, it did catch something. It definitely caught something. Well done, little kingfisher. Very well done. Look at that blue. That blue is the most... It's so incredible, even though we know how it works and we understand the dynamics behind it. The fact that those feathers can go from blue to green, depending upon the angle that the light hits them, is just really stunning. I don't know quite how else to phrase it. Jeremy, no, there are certain types of kingfishers that do migrate. Something like, for example, what you call them again? now listen carefully, woodland kingfisher, not woodlands kingfisher. We would hate to upset anyone. A woodland kingfisher migrates, although they're actually here in the Mara all year round. So there are certain species that either migrate or there will be a percentage of the population that will actually stay in one place, like, for example, the woodland kingfisher. And then there's certain permanent residents, like the brown-hooded or the grey-hooded. The only thing that's confusing me is that it's a little bit outside of the range of the normal brown-hooded kingfisher. And quite a long tail as well. Right, it seems like it is a very interesting afternoon. Let's go and join Taylor. I'm dying to see how her current situation is going to play out.
Look at this. This is the bravest crowned crane you've ever seen in your life defending its nest. It's the same crowned cranes we were looking at earlier. Not very happy indeed. Hey. I don't know if this is the male or female because both of them sit on the nest, and we were talking about how they're so similar looking, but that's a big elephant. But it doesn't look like he's having any of it though. Young bull. And you can hear that crowned crane alarming now. And opening its wings if it gets too close. But wasn't that crazy? The way the elephant tried to slap it with its trunk. Now, of course, that crowned crane needs to be very careful. Oh, it's not, is it a cow? No, it's a cow, so it's not even a bull. She's a small cow. She's got a very round head for a female, too. And just see swollen mammary glands, or slightly swollen. Sorry about that, everybody. Goodness gracious, I must be tired. Pulling up all the reeds. Are you settling down now? Yes, it looks a little bit happier. Actually turning away from the elephant now. I think the elephant has realized, oh, okay, oh, sorry, you must have a nest or something there. My apologies. But how's that? That just really just amazes me, that you can have two animals, one minute in comparison, but brave. And that's what they will do. So you think, something like a water monitor, if they're going to defend their nest against elephants, surely a water monitor wouldn't be too much hassle. We've also seen how aggressive they are when they fight. I'll never look at a crowned crane the same ever again. They are so aggressive when they need to be. Most of the time they're placid though, only having to stand up for themselves when absolutely necessary. There you go, just checking on the eggs again, I assume. Come on, where's a little egg? We want to see a little egg. I wouldn't even know what color they would be. They'd probably be white or cream. I don't think they would have any speckling or sort of camouflage. That's so cool. Isn't that incredible? What an amazing interaction. Again, just as we were saying of seeing things that I've never seen before. I believe a whole lot of you are saying respect, of course, to the crowned crane. Yeah. So it just goes to show you how they absolutely try their best to give their youngsters the best chance of survival. Obviously, there's still eggs. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know how old this nest is. I've only been seeing her or him here for the last week. We're actually sitting down in the nest, and it takes about a month, 30 days or so, before those eggs will hatch. Wow, what an amazing setting. Right, but we need to go and find some lions, don't we? So we're going to just quickly revert. Oh, you're going to go back there. I'm just deciding whether this elephant is going to go back towards the crowned cranes. Oh, hang on. Maybe. Or she had enough. Oh, I love that sound. Look at this. I'm just having all the luck today, aren't I? Come on, elephant, you don't need to hurt that bird. And she's not. She won't. I mean, she knows that that bird is no threat to her, and that she could really do some serious damage. If that trunk were just to connect with that bird, it would have a serious headache, if not a concussion. She's just saying, but you're grazing. I'm trying to graze around there. Look at all that lush stuff. And that's all she's really worried about. She's pulling up all the roots and all. I'm not sure what she's eating. It doesn't look like a hyacinth or anything. Norika, you said that the elephant is like, okay, I'm leaving you alone. I suppose that's what she's saying. Like I said, she's just looking for that specific type of plant that's growing. And you might find that the reason why she keeps going over to the nest is not to annoy the bird, but to in fact try and find that plant. We always talk about how I'm pretty sure animals have cravings, because some days we see them just feeding on grass, some days they're in the marsh and picking up whatever that water plant may be. Other times they're stripping bark, and kind of like the elephants down in the Sabi Sand, which is exactly what Noelle has got this afternoon. And she had the most incredible sighting this morning on the safari extravaganza, if you were watching, and hopefully she'll have many more. But let's go back down to her.
They do strip bark in the Sabi Sands, Taylor. They love to do that. And we have a couple of Ellies just here on my right-hand side. They're not quite strip barking, but she is eating that tree quite profusely. Her and her little one, who's now hiding behind the fallen over bits there. Elephants only digest about 25% of what they eat, sometimes up to 30%, and sometimes a little bit higher, up to about 42, but a general indicator, a good one, is about 25%. This time of year, earlier we saw that male elephant and eating the marula fruits. This time of year you'll actually find whole marula fruits in their dung, and if you're ever lost in the bush, you can pick them out and eat them. They'll be fine. Just have a little ellie bits on them. And because elephants are herbivores, you can touch their dung, you can pick it up, you can pick out fruits, like I said. When it's dried, you can make paper out of it, and when it's dried, it's also very good to cure migraines. You can ingest it, or you light it on fire and inhale the smoke, and that will get rid of your migraines. I can hear more ellies in front. I just can't quite see them yet. Now I'm going to stay quiet just for a bit and see if you can hear them foraging. And as I say that, they go completely still. There we go. This should be nice. Let's listen. Can we hear her breathing through her trunk? If you take a pipe and you blow through a pipe a bit, it sounds a bit like that. Ashlyn, good idea you're asking. Good idea. It is a good idea, and it's also a good question. You're asking if elephants choose certain foods over the nutrients they provide, and that's entirely true. Look, the food needs to taste of something for them, and then it also needs to satisfy their body in some way. So most other species are very good at figuring out what their body needs by how something tastes. Humans, I would bet that chimpanzees and some other primates might do a little bit of what we do, especially with if they come in contact with processed food. But humans tend to do what they see with the eyes, which is what the brain convinces them they need, and then that's what they eat. Whereas something like an elephant knows that this tree makes it feel good, and that fruit makes it feel good, and this grass makes it feel good, and those are all supplying nutrients. So yes, indeed. And she's not just going to eat anything. She'll be specific about what she's eating. The time to eat sort of just whatever is available would be in times when the resources are not fully abundant. Right now our resources are abundant, and so she can be picky about what she wants and how she wants to do it. Her little one that is with her will figure out what Mum eats by watching Mum, practicing exactly what Mum does, so copycatting Mum, and then also picking through her dung and eating out of there to figure out what is good and what works. The rest of them are now just popping out in front of us here on the road. You can just see this down here. All very relaxed. It's a windy day, but they don't mind the wind as much. Tiva, I believe your question was, do elephants get colds, as in sort of like the sniffles, a flu? Wild animals, in my experience and from what I've read, don't get sick the way that captive bred animals get sick. So to put that in perspective, I know of lions in captivity that have gotten cancer. I've not heard of lions getting cancer sort of in the wilderness areas. I'm sure there might be one or two cases, but basically they're getting everything they need from where they are, and if they are getting sick in any way, then nature's taking its course. They're either going to get better very quickly, or they're going to get eaten by something and pass away. So a cold, no, not as far as I know, but I would be interested to know if in captivity anything like that happens, because captivity means they can't move their bodies properly. They're not getting the types of nutrients that they would get out here. They're getting a very fixed diet. It might be slightly varied, but it's not the best scenario for a wild animal, and so that's when you tend to see a bit more issues. I actually know of a female elephant that got severely depressed and ended up dying from her depression because she refused to eat. In the Joburg Zoo, she was rescued and she was put into the enclosure with other females elephants, and the other females didn't like her and would beat her up. And so she used to just stand in the corner and she would refuse to eat and refuse to do anything, and she would just look sad, and eventually she ended up dying from it. Sorry, that was a little bit of a downer on the discussion there, but it's a very good discussion to have. Animals in their natural habitats as opposed to animals in places like zoos.
You say that we get sick because we are in captivity.
Yeah. So Ferg's asking me, do I think that we get sick because we're in captivity? And I'm saying yes to him. I think that if we were to maneuver the way that we should maneuver as humans and not be in such closed spaces and not be indoors all the time, we wouldn't get as sick as we do. So my friend Scotty D is out and about on the property with me, and I think it's time we head on over to him so that he can say hello.
Hello everyone, I'm sure you've been having a wonderful safari with all the girls, and now you have to deal with me. My name's Scott, and I'm teamed up with Dave on a camera. We are hoping that we are going to find a male leopard. The reason being is that there was tracks not too far from where we are here, heading in this direction, and it could be one of 4 males, which is really interesting. We've got a kind of quite a strange scenario going on here at the moment, in that there's 2 mature males, one of which is the regular dominant male called Tingana, and another new kind of imposter called the Hukumuri male. So those 2 are kind of, we think, we've never seen any interactions, but we're fairly certain that they are kind of sizing one another up, and Hukumuri is pushing into Tingana's territory, and that's the area we're in here. And there's also 2 younger males, one's 2 and one's 3, called Hosanna and Tamba, and they're kind of just flying below the radar for now, so they're not really a threat to the bigger males. And all 4 of them, like I say, have been seen in this general area over the last few weeks and months. So it's tracks of a male, and we would love to find out who it is. I know a lot of you have yet to see the Hukumuri male, so ideally it would be him, although I would like to see Hosanna, who's one of the youngsters. We're not too certain how fresh the tracks are exactly. They could be from last night or could be from during the day. Difficult to be certain, but they are quite fresh. So we're going to snoop around here. We've got 2 tracking vehicles out also searching, and hopefully something will give a little bit later on once it cools off a little bit. Wonderful stuff. We're going to send you back up to Jamie, who's found some giraffe in the Mara.
I have got a giraffe, and a giraffe very close to where we had the lions this morning, so I'm just looking to see while we sit here whether or not there's any sign of them. This is definitely one of my favorite spots, though. We've been talking about how Malika's been moving about to and from through this particular river. It's a very deep river, and it comes with certain complications when it does rain, but of course for animals, browsers like the giraffe, it is a great place for them to gather and enjoy some slightly different leaves for their lunch. Obviously different species of trees that you'll find around the rivers. We often see the giraffes out in the open plains browsing off the small little shrubs and bushes around there. It's nice to see them in such a beautiful setting. There's a couple of species, or there's one species of jackalberry, but I can't remember what it's called. It's not a jackalberry. It's a different species, same family. That one that occurs around this river. Now I can't remember what it's called. Oh goodness. It'll come back to me, I'm sure, at some point. A really pretty gathering of a giraffe, complete with their long tails. Steve says that giraffe are one of his favorites. You are not alone, Steve. Most people find them really quite attractive, and I think there's a certain sense of peacefulness that they convey somehow. There's something just relaxing about sitting and watching a giraffe. Everything about them, from their long eyelashes and their silly tongues to their very long legs, which have completely the normal number of joints, but somehow seem to have extra joints just while you look at them. I always find that the longer I stare at a giraffe, the weirder it becomes. It's like repeatedly saying a word, and it starts to sound very, very odd, like the word potato. Staring at a giraffe makes you very aware of what strange creatures they actually are. But you're not alone. Lots of people love them. My mom loves them. They're hard not to love. They're very gentle. Not dangerous at all. It's an interesting question, Paul, and the thoughts crossed my mind a few times, although let me just, before I go on to Paul's question, let me just clarify that giraffe can be dangerous. It's just very, very unlikely. They're very unaggressive animals, but they can potentially be dangerous to people, but in very limited circumstances. Right, Paul, do giraffe ever have to worry about mambas or other snakes, particularly mambas, of course, would be a snake, very venomous snake that would be in the trees, as well as a vine snake or a boomslang, for example. Do they have to worry about being bitten by one when they feed in the trees? And the answer is, I have never heard of a giraffe being bitten while browsing. I think the snake just instinctively moves off as the movement approaches. So I've never heard of it happening. That doesn't mean that it hasn't happened before. It's probably incredibly unusual. And you'll probably find that they are... actually, no, probably not. Maybe not really resistant to the venom at all. There's certain species of animal out here that are resistant to snake venoms, like mongoose or honey badger. That's a good question. I don't know. I've never even seen a giraffe get a fright from a snake. Okay, let us head back across to Scotty D in South Africa, who is in a vehicle for a change, and he's managed to find some elephants walking towards him.
Hello everyone. We've got a nice big elephant bull who I've just noticed is in must. He's dripping like a broken tap from his penis, so he could give us a little bit of trouble. Only time will tell. What's interesting is that his trunk, I've just noticed, is kind of split. It's got an unusual split in it, and who knows how he would have got that injury at the tip of his trunk. It can open far wider than it ordinarily would, and as he walks past, you'll notice that in between his back legs he is dripping wet. And that is a sign of an elephant bull in a sexually heightened phase called must. And they can often be quite mischievous when they are in this stage, which they kind of come into every year, once or twice a year for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. No set kind of time limits on it. Oh, let's turn around quickly. There's a rainbow. We're going to test Dave's skills now. And that Ellie bull is heading straight towards a rainbow. Dave he's going to have to expose for it somehow. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get the elephant and the rainbow in. And if you darken the foreground completely, there we go. Beautiful. Sheesh, and now that we've parked where he was walking and the wind is Which way is the wind blowing? I'm not even sure if the wind's assisting us, but we can definitely smell. It's kind of like a wet blanket almost. A sweet, sugary, wet, moldy blanket is what that dripping, musty smell smells like. And we did have a few little raindrops earlier, not anything serious, which is a pity because we definitely do need a lot more rain here. We haven't had nearly enough rain this summer. What we probably also need is for me to catch back up with that elephant. No further sign of the leopard that we are trying to track down. I'm thinking of going back into the area where we last had his tracks and just really spending a lot of time scouring the earth to work out where exactly he headed. Tyrone, you'd like to know, do snakes ever have kind of interactions with snakes, and if so, are they kind of negative interactions? Well, not that I've ever seen, but I'm fairly confident that if a big elephant bull like this, or any elephants really, came across a large African rock python or a snake that was easy for them to detect, they may get a little bit disturbed by it. But I don't think, I can't recall ever seeing any interactions between elephants and snakes myself in the flesh, nor any videos thereof, but it might be worth having a Google or a YouTube search there and see if you can't find anything. I haven't heard of anything. You'll probably find that they're not going to be hugely perturbed by the smaller ones. They'll probably overlook them quite a bit. You wonder how many times an unsuspecting arboreal snake like a boomslang has been gripped by an elephant's trunk and plucked out of a tree. Who knows, maybe a snake's even been put into the mouth of an elephant. I'm sure it must have happened. Elephant walks up to a bush, breaks off a branch, and next thing you know, the poor snake's in its mouth. Now, this elephant bull's behavior is a very good example that they're not always menacing and dangerous when they are in the sexually heightened phase called must. There's just a kind of a higher likelihood that they are going to give you trouble. So you mustn't always just flee and panic. You must just kind of be more alert when you do notice they are in must. And that word is derived from an Indian word, which means mischievous. And that's obviously from the Indian elephants. Wonderful. Well, we're going to send you from one of Africa's largest beasts to one of its kind of second or third largest, with Noel.
Second or third largest? I think I'd agree with you there, Scott. If we lump in black rhino and white rhino together, even though they're different sizes, I think we could say that elephant, rhino, and then hippo. Because giraffes are large, well, they're tall, but their bodies aren't really large. I'll go with you on that, Scott. We'll go with third. Now, hippos, who have now disappeared, of course, because they love to do that, and we are sitting here in front of Chitwa Lodge at Chitwa Dam, and they have several hippos inside of here. I think at one point I counted about 15. Today I'm counting about 10, but I also can't see around the corner. And because they spend most of their time in the water, even on colder days like today and when it's overcast, they are very adaptable to hiding underneath, seeing underneath, communicating underneath the water, but also being able to communicate above the water and seeing above the water and hearing above the water as well. We've got a lot of good birds calling here as well. White-faced whistling ducks in the background. A few thickneys, some bee eaters. There's the white-faced whistling ducks. Kate, you'd like to know if hippos are really dangerous. Kate, anything's dangerous. An impala can be dangerous if you corner them. Anything can be dangerous. It just depends on the circumstance in which you find it. So that being said, hippos are dangerous when you interfere between them and their safe space, meaning between them and the water. So a lot of what happens with hippos and humans has to do with when hippos are moving into or out of the water and when humans are utilizing those same water sources. So if you're in a rural area and you need to fetch water for washing, for bathing, for drinking, and you're doing so out of a river, hippos live inside of there. And if you're between that hippo and the water, let's say that hippo, it's earlier in the morning and the hippo's coming back from grazing outside the water in the evening, then his reaction is going to be to run you over to get to the water. Other options have to do with if you're fishing in an area where hippos are and you come into an area with territorial bulls or territorial cows and you upset them, you invade their space bubble, they're going to be upset with that. So yes, they can be dangerous. They are the mammal that kills the most humans in Africa, but that statistic you have to take with the other facts that revolve around it. So where are humans utilizing the water sources, and where are the hippos, where are they feeding, where are they moving? We've got one coming out of the water beautifully, so you can see a little bit better their sort of shape and size. H. Macy, you'd like to know if hippos are going to stay in the same water hole their whole lives? It can happen, H. Macy. This hippo is demarcating. Can you see that? Can you see all of that, what looks like mud flying out the back end? That's poo, and it's then wagging its tail and spreading that poo very, very fine so that it spreads everywhere so that every other hippo knows that's that hippo's territory. Look, they can, if, for instance, a lot of the hippos that are born here inside of Chitwood Dam, especially if they're female hippos, they won't necessarily need to go anywhere else. This dam is pretty much always full. Let's say, though, that this dam went dry, then all the hippos would move somewhere else. The same happens with river. Oh, look, there he's doing it. Love it. I've got a story to tell you guys just now as well. It'll come in a little bit. But so no, they're not going to necessarily stay in the same water hole the whole time. They will move around. In the Okavango Delta, they move around often and a lot, depending on the levels of the water. And islands form and reform. So we just saw that hippo demarcating, spreading its dung everywhere, and there's a lovely story about why hippos do that. So there are many traditional stories in Africa, but specifically we're going to talk about one that I've heard from this area. So hippo was a creature that used to live on land. And hippo was an arrogant creature. He had a big mane. He thought it was the most beautiful thing ever. And so hippo was not liked very much by the other creatures because he was arrogant. And, you know, as you can tell, the moral of the story is try not to be arrogant. That's one of the morals. So one day there was a big fire and hippo went, I'm out of here. And he ran away. But as he was running away, all the other creatures were going, help me, help me, help me, there's a fire. So hippo was like, oh, I guess I'm not really that bad of a creature. Let me go and help. So he ran in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out of the water to be able to help and save those creatures. And when he did so, his skin got cracked, his mane was burned off, he was in a lot of pain. And his gift for saving all the creatures was for the Creator to allow him to live in the water and then only come out at night so that the sun wouldn't burn his cracked skin. Then there was another story to go along with that. It's that after hippo was now living in the water, he was having trouble because he was having trouble accessing a lot of the grass that he needed to eat, and he didn't want to interfere with rhino and this and that, and also he was having some trouble with crocodile. So the Creator was saying, listen, if you're having all these troubles again with all these creatures, then you need to figure out something. So hippo was like, well, I just really want to stay in the water full time. And the Creator's like, listen, you're having issues with crocodile, you're having issues with rhino, I don't really know what to tell you. So long discussions and long stories happen, and finally they agreed, no, hippo, you can keep staying in the water, you must only come out at night, but I need to make sure that you're not eating crocodile's fish, as crocodile is saying, and you're not interfering with rhino. So by grazing at night, he's not interfering with rhino too much, and then he would go and spread his dung very, very fine, so the Creator could see that he's also not interfering with crocodile by eating his fish, because there was no fish bones in his dung. So there's many different variations on that story, on those two stories. Some of them combined, some of them separate, but it's a way to explain behavior without science, and I also just enjoy them very much, as I hope all of you do. So Scott is still with a very large pachyderm, so I think let's head on over to him, and maybe he has a story about elephant.
Well, thanks, Noel, for the stories. Sounded wonderful. We've been chilling out with this Ellie bull who's obviously found a marula tree that's bearing some tasty fruits, because he's been here for about 5 minutes, and obviously once he finished all the fruits on the ground, he lifted up his trunk, put his head against the tree and gave it an almighty shake, and a whole bunch more fruits just came falling down, and that's what he's feeding on now. And what I've noticed is that different trees bear different size fruits as well as different tasting fruits. Some are far tastier than others, and he's obviously found a good one here. The one in the middle of our camp has by far got the biggest fruits of all the trees here on Djuma, almost 2 or 3 times the size. Sadly, no Ellies have got access to those ones, but we do. I think Gendre is brewing some kind of a fizzy juice. I'm thinking of making some marmalade. Monica, you would like to know, what does a marula fruit taste like? And it's quite acidic. It's very high in vitamin C. So let's see if he doesn't give us a little bit of attitude. He's got a bit of a swagger here. Hello, boy. What are you plotting? Are you just heading off to the next marula tree? It looks like it. You've always got to just be a little bit cautious of these guys when they're in must. Can you see how he's got a bit more of a swagger than normal? And a telltale sign of a bull in must. Getting that sweet pungent smell again as he moves past from his dripping penis, which is another sign of them being in must. So the taste of a marula fruit. Kind of like a lychee maybe, but there's not as much flesh on the fruit. Kind of similar texture to a lychee, but it's only a very thin layer of flesh around a hard nut. And the flavor, Dave, any ideas what you could... It's such a tricky one. Yeah, you'd one down yourself, I think, and then you'll know. It tastes nothing like the liqueur that is made by it. Now, Kirsty's suggesting that I should have one and talk you through it, but I've had a million marula fruits and I'm still unable of talking you through it now. So if I have another one, it's not gonna provide me with the vocabulary that I need to describe it. Yeah, what I can say though is that it tastes nothing like Amrullah, a liqueur that is made from these fruits. Very nice liqueur though. I would suggest trying some, but it would give you the wrong idea of what the fruits taste like. Wonderful stuff. We're going to probably spend some more time with this big bull. It looks like he's moved on to the next marula tree and he's busy snacking down here, and send you off to one of the girls while I do that.
We've had a little altercation between hippos. That hippo has gone under or on top of that island that is underneath the water after chasing another one, and we'll see maybe he chases him again. A much larger male, this one that stood up here, as opposed to the one that was at the back. Can we hear them? It's very windy. It's really hard for us to pick up on the audio of the hippo. They're making a funny laughing noise that I'm not very good at repeating, but it looks like everything's calmed down. Now Ferg and I have found a bird as well that we thoroughly enjoy. So Ferg and I, about a month ago, had this bird fishing on the other side of the dam. And then Davi and I had him doing this funny twerking thing. Oh my goodness, now Ferg, I don't know where to go. Okay, we have hippos moving about, but we also have this greater egret that's fishing and hunting. So it's difficult because it's just enough of an angle that we're gonna miss. Oh, he caught something, you see. So this is the perils of wildlife filming and coming to you live, is picking content that's within 100 meters, 100 yards of each other. Okay, so those hippos have calmed down. Maybe we'll go back to our greater egret, because I don't think he actually caught what I thought he caught. I think he's going to try again. And here comes the rain, of course. What an afternoon. This is just a crazy afternoon. So there's our greater egret. I'm busy fishing in the shallows. And out of nowhere, we have this rain that's starting to come down. It's not a heavy, heavy rain, but sorry, that's Ferg just putting the cover on. Come on, greater egret. Catch something, and then we're going to pan over to the hippos, and they're going to fight again. So this is what... Ooh! Almost got something there. So this is what we deal with on a sort of daily basis. Look, it happens as well when you're on game drive, if you were physically in the car with us, but then obviously you have a 360-degree motion around. For us, Ferg has to be able to move 300... Ooh! Yes, he's really trying. Might be minnows, might be frogs in there. And so we have to, almost there. He's almost getting it. So we really have to pick and choose what views we want to give you. Maybe it's tiny little minnows if he's getting small things in there. Let's see, he's going to go for it again. And then we have to we have to pick and choose, and then hope that what happens when we want it to happen happens. Interesting thought to put out there. I'm sure many of you who watch us time after time and segment after segment realize this, but having all of this action in a small little space when it's not sort of one thing in front of the other thing that's doing something can be tricky for us. So it's nice to do a bit of birds and then a bit of mammals and a bit of birds, a bit of mammals. Come on, buddy. Oh, look, that was a false start there. You see that? He's trying really hard. A much different hunter than some of our other larger water birds you'll get here, like a spoonbill or an African openbill. Ooh, so you guys are saying that you can see that it looks like a fish, so I think we're going to go with little minnows then, as opposed to tadpoles or anything similar. Ferg, I feel like we're about to have a deluge. Shall we show everybody the deluge that is about to hit us? So guys, here we're sitting, we're going to pan up for you and around, and we have a cloud that's decided to drop. So sometimes as the clouds are picking up moisture, the wind pushes them past, they don't drop on us, but that is going to definitely drop on us. So I think we're going to need to get our canvas covers out. So let's head back up to the Mara, where Jamie has some beautiful cats she would like to show you, and Ferg and I are going to cover ourselves, I think, or move away.
Shame. I'm glad to hear that Juma is getting some rain, though. They really did need it. And so far, we've actually been really lucky with the weather. Yes, it's rained a couple of times while we've been this side, but it hasn't been anything near the amounts we were experiencing up until recently. So there's a little bit of rain on the horizon, but we are so practiced now at wrapping up that we can basically do it and still watch the animals at the same time. We've got everything into a pretty flawless, very efficient system of putting our rain covers down. So there is some rain on the way, but hopefully it decides to miss us, and if it doesn't, it's not too much of a disaster. It was a little while ago, when Malika was on the other side of the river. That was problematic, and I kept watching the skies every time I left her, nervous that it was going to be the last time I was going to be able to actually even get to her. Though we've been lucky so far. And although there was a very wet January, which of course is meant to be the dry season, it seems as though we're having quite a dry Feb. And then, soon to come will be the big rains, and that will be interesting all of its own. I love the cheetah tail draped over Mum. That's so sweet. Don't mind me. I'm just going to plop my tail over you. Surprisingly heavy, that tail, as a counterbalance. Mandy, you want to know if cheetah like the rain? No, not really. They do hunt in the rain, though. It is really good hunting weather for them, provided it is not an absolute downpour, as in it's not actually stinging rain, which I've seen them shelter from. If it does start to rain, they do actually hunt. So they do actually, it's good hunting weather. Sorry, somebody just wants to talk to me, but I'll chat to them in a second. It is good hunting weather, and at the same time, it is, if it rains at night, quite disorienting for them, and it does mean that it could put them at risk of other bigger predators. So at night, if it does rain, then they bunker down and they hide away and they wait for it to stop. We've also seen Malika's boys, as I mentioned earlier, really enjoying chasing and playing in the ripples and the currents of the puddles. Malika actually really takes full advantage of rainy weather. She will go dashing off after any potential prey. There's a little Tommy up ahead. Can you see it there? I don't think she's going to hunt, though. I think that hyena that's been lurking around her, there's a hyena that's coming and going, watching her the whole time. There's a little Tommy. Not quite aware of where it's about to, what it's about to wander into. But they have exceptionally sharp eyes, and I doubt that this one's going to get caught unawares. Okay, from a relatively dry Mara, let us go and rejoin the Djuma crew, hopefully now wrapped up tight against the rain, as Scott Dyson leads on the search for the leopards.
Well, thankfully not rainy where we are, but out to the east where Noelle is, you can see a lot of dark clouds, and she's getting some rain over there. So it'll be interesting if that rain comes to us. Usually rain comes from the north to the south, but of course there are always some variations with regards to how the weather works. Sorry, I've just got some little bug in my eye, which I'm trying to get out. So yeah, usually the rain comes this way, not this way. But maybe this afternoon will be different, and we'll take whatever rain we can get. Obviously it's not ideal for this afternoon safari because it makes our lives a bit of a nightmare, but it is much needed in this area. Now, I'm sure all of you are aware, but I must just say a big thanks to Megs, who was directing the first half of the safari from the Mara. It is her final drive directing. She is heading back to continue her studies. I'm told you're becoming a doctor of sorts. And interestingly, I've never actually met Megs. When I rejoined Safari Live and went straight to the Mara, she was here, and then when I came here, she went there. So, never met Megs, but heard your voice a lot, and it's a very nice voice, and you're a great director, so hopefully we'll see you in the future. And good luck with all of your studies. Maybe you can pop in and visit us, then I'll finally get to meet you. So I'm kind of heading back towards camp, because I don't know the extent of this rain that is coming towards us, and we don't really have a, in case if it is hectic, we could come unstuck, and with the final TV show tomorrow, I will not be very popular if I fry some of the equipment. So I just want to get us as close to camp as possible. Now, I could be imagining things, but I think I can see an agama lizard glowing blue on the big tree over there. Just below that, higher up. Okay, stop there. Maybe I should just use my binoculars. If you punch in, it's just like, it looks like it's about 30 centimeters below the forks now I was over ambitious. There's just some lichen on the tree. It would have been spot of the century, so that's why I went for it. And thanks to all of you that have just sent through some more wishes to Megs, and good luck with her future. Alrighty, well, it's just Noel and I now for the rest of the safari, I think, so that's the plan, and you are going to head across to her right now. She's found some elephants.
Scotty, you and I will be fine, just the two of us. Just the two of us. I'm sorry. All right, we're about to get rained on again, but we found a really nice young bull elephant that we want to show you. Well, maybe young's the wrong word. He's probably in his mid-30s, I would say, and he's busy eating up the lush green grass that's on the ground here. So in summertime, when it's our rainy season, elephants in our area tend to eat a lot more grass than they do during the winter season, because it's lush and green and full of nutrients. So about this time of year, they probably do about 15%, maybe a little bit more of their diet will be grass, and then the opposite time of the year will be less, maybe about 5 to 8%, if that. In places like the Okavango Delta in Botswana, where it's wet a lot longer, you'll see that their percentages of eating grass will go up a bit. Now, we have this funny little tiny tree that's in the way, and we keep thinking he's going to move, but he really is taking his sweet time about it, but that's okay. I'm enjoying watching him twirl up this grass. Now notice when he's twirling to the left. That is something that is unique to each animal, similar to how we're left-handed or right-handed. They twirl their trunk to pick things off the ground, like the grass or branches off a tree, either the left way or the right way. And then with their tusk as well, they'll also have a left tusk or a right tusk that they prefer. Now this chap seems to have a right tusk that is slightly more worn down, which means that he is left trunked and right tusked. He can't decide, he can't make up his mind. Trish, excellent question. You want to know how you tell an elephant's age. So Trish, for me, with elephants and with a lot of the research I used to do, I find aging them easy. It has to do with how their head looks, their body, the way their skin sags, things like that. But it comes with time, and it comes with cataloging. I find it harder to age, say, a rhino. So an elephant lives to be about 60, 65 years old, and their bodies go through similar processes that human bodies do regarding how their skin looks on their frame, and sort of by the temples there you can see it quite a bit. With a rhino, for me, I mean, a rhino reaches about 12, 15 years old and then pretty much looks that same way for the next 30 years until it starts getting really old, and then you can say, well, that rhino's really old. But I have a friend that can age a rhino to within a year or two. It's pretty incredible. Hello, sir. Are you just realizing that we're here? Really? Ferg, I think our rain's catching up with us. Our rain cloud, our little drizzling rain cloud, is slowly catching up with us. Now, this is the type of weather that this male elephant will really love, because it cools things down, it makes his body slightly moist. He doesn't have to flap his ears as much. Now notice he's doing what our last bull elephant did that we saw at the beginning of the show, where he's holding his ears open a little bit more. It's because he's listening to me. He's listening to what I'm saying and just checking to make sure that I'm not doing anything that breaks our social contract, which is why he is so relaxed with us, because I'm just sitting here and chatting. And maybe he likes the timbre of my voice, but I actually think because this rain cloud is coming at greater speed, we might have to leave our elephant where he is and carry on up the cut line more towards the northeastern corner to sort of get away from the rain. Because the Mara has left us, we're going to pretend like we're in the Mara and move away from rain clouds. Melissa, you want to know what it's like when an elephant sneezes. Now, Melissa, I can't actually think of... Thank you, sir. Enjoy. I can't actually think of the last time I heard an elephant sneeze. Lions, leopards, cheetah sneezing, yeah. Rhino sneezing. Elephant, I can't honestly think off the top of my head. We might have to ask Scott if he's ever heard of or ever had an elephant sneeze. It's an interesting thing. I wonder if it's because their trunk is so long that maybe the things that make us sneeze with our smaller noses don't actually get up there. I've seen them blowing lots of mucus out their trunk. Interesting thought. And we moved 12 meters and the rain is gone. It's just how our day is going. All right, so we're carrying on this way, obviously, to get away from that rain cloud, but then we're also going to check for whatever might be up this way and maybe head up towards Biffleshoek Dam and see if we can get any more elephants that side or possibly something else. I'm still really keen for wild dog. Tyro, you want to know how hectic the weather conditions are out here? Look, in general, Tyro, they're not that hectic. I mean, in the summer, it's quite warm, quite hot, and we get these funny rain showers. This season has been very strange. Normally, in the afternoon, it'll build up during the day, and then afternoon, we get about an hour, hour and a half, and it'll just drop. We haven't had that this season. We haven't had enough rain this season. These clouds we could see forming, but it didn't look like they were actually going to drop low enough to lose their precipitation. That one just sort of snuck up on us, but the one that's behind us snuck up on us because of the way that the hillside goes, so I couldn't really see. The one that we're driving towards now already dropped in this general vicinity, not right where we are, but more a little bit to our east. And as we come up on top of the hill, you'll actually see that it's still dropping to the east, but the clouds are moving in an easterly direction, so we're not going to feel any of that. That we could see before we started, so Ferg and I decided not to come up to this corner in the beginning of show. We decided to go to Chitwa Dam, and then obviously we are now changing our minds and heading up, just sort of keep away from it. And then our winter times are chilly at night and then somewhat warm during the day. I grew up in New England in the States, and I have to say those weather conditions were much more hectic than here. It's like snowing in July, and then all of a sudden it's 100 degrees out. You know, maybe I'm just more used to it here. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Those clouds are really pretty, though. I love this type of light. Ah, Scott's also looking at pretty clouds. Scott's a man after the same.
Yes, we are looking at some beautiful, dark, stormy clouds with the Warburg's eagle. Of the pale morphs, you can see it's a very light coloration. And we're actually hoping on initially showing you a bataleur, but it flew off. And I'm told on average when kind of eagles are soaring, they're soaring at around, I mean of course it varies hugely, but 50 miles an hour with ease. Which is quite interesting. It's quite a speed to travel at, considering they're using very little or almost no energy. This one's heading into the wind, so it's not moving that quickly now, I can assure you of that. It's actually moving quite slowly. And wouldn't it be wonderful to be up there, soaring silently, with a wonderful view. We need a few of these guys on our payroll, searching for leopards. That would help us greatly. Wonderful. Now, looking around, this is usually looks quite serious. So there is a chance it will miss us, but there is also an equally strong chance that it will hit us. So I'm going to head back to camp and put on our roof so that we are ready for the worst. Cheryl, you'd like to know if the health is looking grassier, the grass is looking healthier. Yes, it is. It's looking far more lush and green after just one relatively small but decent rainfall. I'm guessing it was somewhere around 10 mils of rain that we got. And yes, the vegetation, not only the grass, but a lot of the bushes than they were before. When did that rain fall? About a week ago, I think. And within about 2 or 3 days, the bush had already responded to it. And it was much needed because it was looking fairly bleak. Everything was kind of limp and not looking very impressive just before that rain. But like I said a little bit earlier, it's not nearly enough rain, and even though it's looking better than it was, it's not nearly as lush as it should be at this time of the year. I remember summers where the quarantine clearings was kind of, which we're about to drive through now, was almost very, very thick, and some areas was about knee-high, whereas if you take a look at that now, it's not very well vegetated. So we do need more rain, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get some this evening, which will be wonderful. Ooh, I need to turn us around for another rainbow moment. It's looking very, very impressive. We've actually got a full rainbow, but it's definitely more impressive to the side that Dave is filming. That is the most visible. See if you can zoom out, Dave, and get the whole thing. I think we might be able to get the whole thing, both pots. Are you fully zoomed out?
Yep.
Oh no, the rainbow's too big for us to get all the way around, and it looks like it can't. See where the other pot lands there? That's in Buffelshoek, an area where we cannot drive around, is where the pot of gold is currently sitting. And the other pot of gold is to the south of us, also where we cannot go, so sadly we cannot gather either of the pots of gold from this rainbow today. But very beautiful nonetheless. It looks like there's also a double rainbow. Thanks, Kirst. I didn't even notice, but yeah, there is a bit of a double rainbow. There's a slightly less vibrant one higher up above the more prominent one. Fascinating. Okay, good. I don't want to get too waylaid though. I want to go and get the roof on before we get caught in a storm, and that way at least one of us will always be able to be out. Noel's quite far from here, I think, but either way, let me just make sure that we are safe and sound in the event that the storm does hit us, and then Noel will be able to race back and do the same thing and seek shelter. Good. We'll send you back to her to see how her storm escaping is coming along.
Thus far, Scotty, our storm escaping is coming along brilliantly. It's sunny. I can see the Drakensberg Mountains. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not raining where we are anymore. Although I can see why you chose back to put your roof on. I can see a tiny little bit of rain falling where you were. Now, when I get to, well, I should say we, because it's not just me on the car. Warburg is here as well. When we to I'm going to give everybody a sort of surround view, because you're going to be amazed at the discrepancies between where the rain is falling and where it is not. Now, that is one of the reasons why it's so trouble when we have seasons like this where we don't have regular rain, because it's very piecemeal all over the place. So just north of me where I and we have had not enough at all. Sorry, excuse the back of my head. It's a little bit bumpy here. Just need to pay attention. I don't want to hurt Wendy or lose Ferg or fall out the vehicle when we hit things. Now, although I don't want to be in the rain on show right now, I'm happy that it is raining. It's allowed to rain throughout the night. Then it must stop at, let's say, 3:30 this coming morning, tomorrow morning, so that we can get ready and then get moving for show. And then if it stops at 3:30, and if it's a downpour and then stops at 3:30, all of the predators we're going to be looking for will move, and then we'll get fresh tracks and then hopefully find them. So I've got a really precise plan in place, and I'm hoping it works. Now, as we're driving along here through this very bumpy road, I'm seeing nice giraffe tracks. So I'm hoping when we get to Buffelshoek Dam, we have a journey of giraffe, or a tower, or a kaleidoscope, whichever other collective noun floats your boat. Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. And then we're going to get some really spectacular landscape views. Our cameras do such a nice work at zooming in that we show you guys a lot of up and close details. But it's also nice to pull back a bit, I think, and just show you the surrounds as well. Now, we've had a couple of rainbows, but Scotty D keeps beating us to our rainbow shot, so maybe we'll get some rainbows now to show you. I told Ferg earlier it's the places where puppies and unicorns live, so they're amazing. He looked at me like I was crazy, which might be true. Say one more time, Curse. So apparently Scotty D said that the rainbow is ending inside of Biffleshoek where we can't drive. And James Richard is saying he hopes that the end of that rainbow that's in Biffleshoek is not a leopard that we can't get to as the pot of gold. Well said, James. I agree. I concur. The rainbow can end here at Biffleshoek Dam. That'll be fine. There can be a leopard there. And there might be, you never know. I think Tristan was saying earlier today that some of the male leopard tracks we were getting up here might have been Kojima, who I haven't seen yet. That would be nice to see, but it looks like he's moved out again. And I have heard reports that Tumba has finished his kill that was down near our southwestern corner, and possibly he might come back. You never know. Hukumuri, I just like saying that. Hukumuri has gone west. He doesn't like us anymore. He's gone west towards Elephant Plains, from what I've heard. And then Tingana is busy, checking up on Tundi inside Little Gallery. And Hassana, as far as I know, is still in Little Gallery as well. Kachava, last I heard, was sort of in the southeastern corner of Chitwa, which is very difficult for us to get to. It's at the funny little bottom of a hill, and our signal has some problems there. I tried a little, but I don't think she's going to be there for much longer. She should be moving to her second den site shortly. Yeah, Ferg, we had Kachava, last week in December? She dropped her cubs shortly after that. So yeah, she should be moving den sites in about a week or so. And then hopefully she'll move her den site into the middle of Chitwa, and then we can view her, hopefully, wherever she happens to be there. Although, with all this different male leopard activity going on, who knows? She's probably doing exactly what Tundi is doing, which is trying to go to the outer resources of her core. James Richard, you also want to know what's happening with Shadow and Cub? James Richard, last I heard of Shadow and Cub, she was on Hoffman's, which is near Little Gallery, and I haven't heard much after that. I enjoy Shadow. I enjoy her very much. I also would like to see hashtag Not Barbara. I haven't seen her in a while. The last time I saw her, she was almost the same size as her mum. So I would be keen to know how much she has grown. Now, our journey of giraffe did not make it to the dam. They might still be on their way, but we have our very cranky hippo who doesn't like the cars, and we have one female waterbuck who's standing there like, oh no, I've been caught out. And then we're going to turn the vehicle so that you guys can see all the different cloud formations that we've been chatting about along the way. Nick, you want to know if there's any melanistic crocodiles where we are? Nick, I have not heard of reptiles having leucism and melanism. As far as I know, leucism, which is a lack of pigmentation, and melanism, which is a overpigmentation, deals with mammal and bird species. I have a feeling that there might be some albinism that pops up with reptiles. I think I saw a thing about an albino snake the other day. But then with crocodiles, I haven't heard of it, if there's any albinism. All right, we have a beautiful array of different colors of gray and blue and white, all mixed in with different clouds that are coming through. How beautiful is that? I think maybe let's do our moment of silence with our cloud formations and the rain dropping behind them, which is not moving east anymore. It's turned around, it's moving towards us. Absolutely stunning. All right. right, well, because this massive storm is now moving towards us, Scott has put his roof on and he is out and about with some birds. So let's head on over to him, and Ferg and I will see if we can outrun this one or if we might also have to wussy out and put our roof on.
Yes, we do have our roof on. The rain is beginning to fall a little bit more steadily, and we found a little family of hornbills. And that one that you're looking at is a newborn fledgling. We could tell that because of its tiny little beak. The adult beaks are far bigger. Let me just drive forward a little bit. We should be able to get you some better views of them. It looked like there was 3 youngsters, and they do have 2 parents, a mother and a father. But they're kind of all disappearing into the thickets to try and escape the rain, cleverly. But there's one, kind of. Steadily harder, and even though we have the roof on, it blows in from the side, so we're going to have to cover up a few things quickly. Monitor. I fried one of these when I was up in the Mara, along with my cell phone. Can't remember what exactly we were following or doing that afternoon, but both little bits of technology got fried. Actually tempted to try and spend a little bit more time with these hornbills there. But they're fluttering in quite thick bushes. I'm hoping to try and see their parents come back to them, because you'll get a good idea of how much bigger the parents' beaks are than theirs. They're all kind of just playing around with one another for now. Locals, we're right outside the final control room here, and our staff gym. That's where the final control is, and the gym is just outside of it. And Jean-Andre, one of the cameramen, just snuck up on me and tried to. Where's he gone? We're going to get you, Jean-Andre. You can try and hide, but we are going to find you. Where's he hiding? I want to chase him out. Here he is. So here's Jean-Andre. He's quite big, so he was difficult to wrestle out, but he snuck up on me and tried to give me a prize. So I'm glad we just got that sorted out. Earlier on when we were driving back into camp, Jean-Andre gave me the fright of my life. As we came around the corner, he came jumping out of a bush. Took me about 3 seconds to respond and get a fright, but he did give me the fright of my life. What is he planning now? Jean... No. There he is. He's trying to hide behind the wheel, but I think we need to get out of here before he does something reckless. Him and... Is he holding onto the wheel now? Oh gosh. You see, the cameramen are definitely the most unstable members of our crew. You just can't predict what they're going to do. Dave and Jean... for now. So, Dave and Jean-Andre both have long hair. Dave's is usually cleaner than Jean-Andre's, but we've got this there's this kiddies game that somehow ended up in our camp, which is no surprise really, and it's a big Velcro pad that you throw a ball onto, and you just catch the ball as it hits this round Velcro pad. And Jean-Andre and Dave thought it's a good idea to wallop this Velcro pad onto one another's locks and then deal with trying to pull it off. So I'm surprised Jean-Andre didn't come out armed with that. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you guys got a glimpse of Jean-Andre. Not hiding behind the camera. Let's just check my glasses are still working, because I may have... Okay. So, focus, back on track. We're back on safari. Carl's, you suggesting that we must have a blast at camp? Yes, we do. We certainly do. There is no shortage of good times and a lot of humor. We are very, very privileged with the crew of people that we get to live and work with in this amazing place. So yes, lots of fun is had. Lots of fun will be had tomorrow night. And for any of you who are unaware, the day after tomorrow there will be no morning safari. We're going to get to sleep in after this 5-night binge series of TV, which we are completing tomorrow. So that's just one thing that you guys can start planning if you didn't already know. Very good. Well, the rain seems to have subsided for the time being, which is great stuff, and Noelle has no longer needed to race back to camp just yet, and I'm not sure what she's found, but she would like you to hop on board with her.
Scott, I'm still a little bit nervous about the impending storm that's behind us, but it's moving at a much slower pace. We have a purple roller, which I have not been able to put on a camera yet this season for you. So we've done lilac-breasted roller, of course, as well as European roller. Now, purple rollers are with us all year round, but something that I found interesting from here compared to where I was working in the Northwest Province a couple of years ago is we used to see purple rollers a lot all year round, and this is my first one of 2018 and probably my first one in the last sort of 4 or 5 months. So it makes me wonder if maybe in the, I want to say in the drier areas we see them more, but they should be around here more often than we see them. It's just a side thought. All right, the viewers that have joined us on some of the other platforms, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again on our next broadcast tomorrow afternoon on YouTube. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, it is going to be our last installment of our live TV show in the United States. #Safari Live on the YouTube. We will still be there as well.